Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to game number 5 of the Intel Extreme Masters Season 5 Grand Finals. This is the match between Ace, who is spawning down here as the bottom left Protoss, against the top right Zerg, Moon. Now, both of these players are very, very tense right now. You know, this is game number 5, so we've got $13,000 on the line for first place, $6,500 for second place. So these guys, I'm sure, are just giving it their all at this point. We've had some very exciting matches. Like I said, this is a best-of-5 series, and they're 2-2. You know, we did have Moon come off the bat with game number 1 with some great macro. Saw him running off of 2 high-yield expansions, secured a victory in that against an early Blinkstalker push. In game number 2, we saw take place on the map Lost Temple, where we saw the player Ace adjust his strategy a little bit. He went for an aerial-based play after having claimed his natural expansion. He did wall off, held off against several attempts at penetrating the base with Nidus Tech, and caught all of them. So pretty exciting stuff to see Ace actually pop out with a Void Ray, deny the Zerg his late expansion, and secure a victory. Game number 3 took place on Blistering Sands, where we saw a very similar technique employed by Ace, trying to gain his early expansion. And, you know, actually the Zerg player, he learned from game number 2. He decided to go and try to burst through it with Tier 1 Zerg play, Roaches and Zerglings through the back entrance, also the Roaches at the front to knock out some of those front buildings, maybe be able to get some Zerglings in there. Unfortunately for the Zerg player, it did not work out so well. The Protoss was able to hold off long enough to get some Void Rays, a couple Phoenix, and go over and start harassing the Zerg main base and force a GG. That took us to Scrap Station, game number 4. Where we did see the Zerg player and the Protoss go for their naturals fairly quickly. Both players wanted to get that economy going as soon as possible. Because what we've seen so far is once these guys get their economy going, it seems like they're a lot more comfortable in the later stages of the game there. So we did see actually Moon take off with a victory in game number 4. He claimed that third base really early there, almost immediately after claiming his second, and was just able to hold on, extend down to the high yield, and fend off the very aggressive Phoenix play. So now we are watching the map here on, watching the game on xel'naga Caverns. This is a map in the Blizzard ladder rotation, one of the more balanced. I am very excited to see who is going to win this, man, because these guys have put it all on the line here. Getting this far is definitely an accomplishment. There have been a lot of top-tier players along the road to this Grand Final series. We've seen just a ton of them here. You can actually watch the Idris series on my channel. There's plenty of other games that have been recast. I may decide to go and recast some of those other games later on. I don't know. Probably will do so in the coming weeks, but I wanted to get this game series up so that way you guys could watch it as soon as it happened here, as I know that having watched these, they're just super intense games, and I was very happy that way I was able to witness them. One probe has gone down for Ace as Moon looks to go out. Actually dropped his, got a Hydra over here, or a drone rather, scouting around for a second. Looks like he's actually going to pull that back in. Dropping a ton of money into the Zerglings here. Sent that drone out there actually to kind of fake out the Protoss, and you see now he's got that Baneling nest going down. Don't think the Protoss actually saw that. No, he did not. Very good stuff indeed. So now we got the Zerglings coming down here with the Banelings, morphing as we speak. Oh, man. There's not a lot of defense over here. You can see there's a good chunk of it. Got one cannon, two. Stargate coming in as well, and here comes the attack right here, folks. Banelings going to be heading into the mineral line. Probes are actually gathering up in a nice bunch formation, but they're not moving. Will the Banelings get them? Oh, so very close. Good. Oh, my God, they did. Oh, man. Ace just lost a ton of probes right there. Think about 8 or 9 of them, with those finally 2 Banelings getting in there, doing that explosion, and just shutting down this expansion. We see actually this is forcing the Protoss player to try to get out his units a little bit quicker. He did actually not build that Stargate, opting instead to spend his money trying to get his economy going again. There's a couple Zerglings that have actually managed to stay alive throughout this and are working on taking out probes, man. You see their health. One of them's very low health, 5 health on that one, as we do have more Zerglings and Banelings coming into the natural. Looking at the probe tab, we can see 14 to 20, so definitely looking pretty good for the income. Now notice that also the red player Zerg is working on his gas right now, where Protoss has been forced to take his probes off the gas and work on the minerals instead, just to try to catch up there. Meanwhile, Zerglings and Banelings are still looking for an entry point into the natural expansion here, where most of the probes are now at. Banelings are going to be coming in here. Oh man. No probes are here, however. Oh, one of them chasing the sentry actually. Waiting for an opportunity to strike. A couple Zerglings coming in here, scouting, seeing if there's any opportunities, seeing if the probes are there. And meanwhile, do note that the Zerg player is trying to get his own natural expansion going up here, as the Zerglings are continuing to hang out just above the natural expansion for the Protoss. Banelings are up here at the top of the ramp as well. Stalkers actually forcing an engagement. Will they attack? Oh man, looks like they're going to go past them entirely, as Zerg looks to do a run by right into the mineral line here. Will he get those probes? Oh my god! So many probes just died a minute ago, as those two Banelings, I guess, were trying to come down here. That was actually a really smart play by the Zerg. What he did was he sent these Banelings down the ramp, thinking that Ace would send his probes over here to this area and store them while the cannons killed the Banelings, and hoping that these Banelings up here at the top of the ramp would come down and catch the probes completely off guard. Now the Stalker there kind of hindered that a little bit, but still very effective play. We saw so many probes die just now. Look at the units lost tab. We can see actually 23 right there. More resources, but very interesting stuff indeed. The expansion for Ace is now complete. We can see that it is starting to be saturated with drones, working on that a little bit. Also got a Queen popping up just a moment or two ago. Not a lot in the way of tech for Moon. He has been working with the Zerglings, keeping the Protoss economy shut down here for at least a while, but not entirely delayed, as there is now a robotics facility coming to switch it up, not going with that Stargate play like he was planning on doing earlier. Some good fake outs this game, as we have one probe is apparently just doing a little bit of mechanical work on that sentry. Not exactly sure what he's doing there, but whatever, it's cool. The sentries are hanging out. I guess the probe can too. Meanwhile, up here, the mineral line is looking a little bit better for Ace, and let's spend some time up here at the Zerg base for just a moment or two. We can see that expansion's definitely looking pretty good. Also got one extractor going down. This is going to bring the total for 2 for Moon. And as far as gas goes, the Protoss is actually sitting on a much better position in terms of gas income. We can see that it's about three assimilators compared to 1 for the Zerg, as there's really not a whole lot actually going on at this point in time. Both players kind of teching up actually. That initial attack gave the Zerg player a lot of good intel, as we see that he did see the Stargate was canceled. He doesn't know that the robotics facility is right there, but he also knows that there's not a lot going up here on the main base right now. Protoss is definitely sitting on the defensive, and that's pretty much where the Zerg wants to be. He saw in game number 1 that when Ace is feeling threatened, he really likes to bottle up there and just kind of stick to himself in the corner. And that's exactly what we saw in Delta Quadrant. So the Zerg player is probably thinking to himself right now, if I can force the Protoss to do that exact same thing, I will be golden. I was able to expand at 2 high yields at the same time in game number 1. So if I can just repeat that, it'll be GG for me. Now, obviously, it's a little bit more difficult to take 2 high yields on this map, but there is one of them over here. There's also the possibility of knocking down those rocks, which it looks like he is going to do as we speak, and take this 3rd base. Now this will be pretty good for him. He can just drop a creep tumor or 2, come down, expand it right here very quickly. It is important to spread that creep down here as soon as possible when you do want to take this base, in order to cut down the response time for Hydras in particular, man. Hydras are just so god-awful slow off a creep. You've got to get that creep out there, so that way they can increase their run speed. Now, the Robotics Bay is working on that extended thermal lance upgrade, as we do have a Colossus on the way. Colossus, of course, will be very good at dealing with the Moon Army. Nice little name for that there, which comprised mostly of just Zerglings and Hydralisks, all of which very, very bunched up units, very vulnerable to attack. And there goes the drone from Moon, going to be heading out there, dropping that expansion before those rocks are down. Moon's going to be heading over there to scout out, see what's going on. No Overlords have been sacrificed just yet in this point in the game. I don't actually believe he is the speed upgrade just yet. No, he does not have that. He does, however, have the range upgrade for the Hydralisks, as Protoss is looking to expand a little bit more here. Knocking out that cannon, actually. He realizes, uh-oh, that Colossus is stuck, man. Never a good position to be in. So with one Colossus in the field right now, you can see he does have the 1 damage upgrade. He's a little bit lacking on the tanking units. He has a couple Zealots right now. It's got 3 of them. So he's going to have to rely on keeping that Colossus very, very close to the rest of those forces, the Stalkers and whatnot, to absorb a lot of that damage. Let's look at the army size right now. We can actually see 85 to 91 in favor of the Zerg. Now tied up as soon as I say that, but you'll notice that the Protoss obviously has a lot more gas invested in his. That's due to units like you got the 2 Colossus here in the field. You got the Sentries, very gas-heavy units there. Also the Stalkers, you're looking at about 350 gas between the 7 of those as well. Zerg is going to be looking to rectify his economic situation. He's going to try to get 1 base up on his Protoss opponent. Notice that the Protoss is actually dropping down his 3rd base right here, dropping the pylon first, wants to be able to reinforce units very quickly. Also, the Zerg player, he does have this Overlord right here, so he will be aware of when probes start to mine. Moon actually sending his forces way over here, and I believe actually now, yeah, Protoss, or the Zerg player does know that that creep tumor was destroyed, so he's thinking, I gotta back up, gotta stay away from this level area right here, and try to get back on the creep and ready to respond to what could be an attack on my natural. So both players have pretty good intel on their army composition right now. You know, Ace, he's aware of the fact that you know, his opponent has the Hydras. You know, he has seen the Hydralisk Den. He knows what's up. He knows what he's facing against. And for the most part, so does Moon here. And of course, this is made even better by the fact that Ace does have an observer very close to the Zerg army. Now, speaking of the Zerg army, you can see that they have 1 ranged upgrade, working on the 2nd one. Also getting that Glacial Reconstitution upgrade for the Roaches as well. Going to be making those just a little bit faster. Really fast on the creep there. Overseer's here, ready to, don't think he actually dropped a Changeling anywhere. He is floating around the middle of the map, however. Zerg may decide to put some pressure on this 3rd base, which does have the bulk of the Protoss forces hanging out at it right now. Nice and spread out. You can see actually this Overlord has spotted that expansion. Zerg realizes, you know what, man, that's not a good idea to attack that. You know, he, if it were an open ground, he might be able to handle that, but the problem is, you got those cannons, it would create some nice choke points to put some forces in, and really just would not be an easy position to assault for the Zerg player. Observer is kind of running around here still, and both players are actually kind of playing a little bit on the defensive side right now, because they realize that it's not exactly without pressure here. We're in the final game, and both players know that one mistake is going to lead to possibly a victory for the other. So there's a lot of tension here. Both players are just trying to build up as much as possible. You see Zerg is working on 15 Roaches right now, trying to get those out as soon as possible here. Still waiting on both those upgrades that I mentioned earlier. Meanwhile, Protoss is actually going for that Blink Tech for the Stalkers. That'll actually be really helpful, especially in dealing with the Zerglings. Going to be able to blink out of those surrounds. Very helpful indeed, as Moon looks to drop his 4th base here while taking out this set of destructible rocks. Protoss has not destroyed his set of rocks yet. However, he is moving out with his Stalkers, just claiming control of the xel'naga watchtower. Looks like he's kind of forcing a reaction from the Protoss. Going to be trying to possibly get a surround here. Uh-oh, Zerg is going to be going down to this base area, going to try to take out 3rd base. There are 3 Colossi here, plenty enough to take out those Zerglings, and force fields have gone down. This is actually going to funnel the Zerg down into this spot right here. Nice little bunched up area, man. Oh, man, the Protoss could not ask for a better spot for that. However, there are plenty of Corruptors here driving away the Colossus. You see he's actually just getting pushed around, literally, while the Stalkers actually blink back, but a little bit too late to save the Colossus. The expansion, though, is very secure, folks. Look at that. All of the Roaches are now gone. All that's left is a dwindling number of Hydras. A couple Roaches still left, but not actually that many. We see, once again, the Blink being put to great use here, catching up with the Corruptors, and then forcing themselves right into the middle of the Hydra Roach army. Very Roach-heavy force going to be coming over on the left side of the map. We see a proxy pylon is actually going to be warped in here. This is a definite indication that that Ace is looking to seal the deal. Moving up, taking out a bunch of Overlords. Look at the supply count. You can see 143 to 178. Roaches are actually splitting up into 2 different forces, trying to shut down Ace's economy, man. Look at that, taking out those cannons first. Meanwhile, come down here and knocking out this expansion. Probes are having to retreat. There is no defense down here at this expansion. Meanwhile, Ace is just saying, hell with it. I'm going to go attack the Moon's expansion. Take that out. and force the economy to shut down as well. If I can't have my economy, then neither can you. However, Ace does have a few Stalkers here and a Colossus, able to dispatch those Roaches, who are now running away after having taken out this expansion as well. The important thing to note, though, is that Moon still has these outlying bases, one on each side of the map, relatively secure. Stalker's running very close to it, just peeking up, going to be checking. Oh, sure enough, there it is. All those drones were just transferred down to it a moment ago, catching that oh so slow Queen. Oh, drones. Oh, wow. Look at that observer coming in, doing their thing, saying, "What's up, guys? I'm here to observe." Drones going down very quickly. Didn't unburrow and try to run or anything. Zerg is actually deciding to try to respond by attacking this expansion, forcing the units back down into the lower area here to the natural. Got to protect this area, as this is really his main source of income. Still have a little bit of money here, but now we have a little bit of engagement. Not really too much action, though. Just taking out that expansion and moving on. Great addition to the force, man. These two Immortals right here. As long as he can keep these Immortals near the back end, or near the back of the army, they will be able to do so much damage. Look at that. 60 damage against armored targets. Of course, the hatcheries do count as armored, so they are going to be taking the extra damage as well here. As we see, actually, from the production tab, just a couple Hydras coming out. That's actually about it, man. Look at the income. It's sitting on the favor of the Zerg. But still, he's got all these forces to worry about, man. Roach Hydra, only a couple Corruptors against the Colossi here. Also, the Protoss going with Immortals, even more of them. Very good idea. It's just going to entirely negate these Corruptors, man. They're really just sitting there, nothing they can do whatsoever. The Hydras are doing anything they can, but the Blink Stalkers getting right on top of the Hydras for allowing them to actually... Oh, wow, burrow would attempt to run away, but there is an Observer here, so no-go on that tactic. Protoss very happy with himself right now, blinking down extra trying to catch some more of these drones. The expansion will be going down here in just a moment or two, doing that nice stutter attack command, moving over, and there goes the hatchery. This is going to put the Zerg back down to 3 base. You see he's actually trying to rebuild right here. Protoss moving, Observer first, and Queen actually burrowed, and now blinking over here, catching plenty of drones before they're able to get back to the safety of the Zerg army. You can see who is running over here, Zerglings, Hydras, and Corruptors, trying to chase away the Stalkers and Immortals. Able to save a few of those drones, man, but look at it right now, 57-48. Protoss has done a great job shutting down the economy for the Zerg player and defending his own. You know, I think one of the most important things here is he was able to secure his own natural while taking out that third base of the Zerg and then continuing on. And just, wow, man, that economy for Red just went from great to nothing very quickly, 57-35. Looking at the units lost now, we can see it's definitely showing in favor of the Protoss here. You know, Zerg really just tried so very hard to get that economy going and built so many bases at once that, you know, he really wasn't able to get the army to support it. That combined with the positioning of some of the engagements, we did see there was some great funneling spots for the Colossi. There was the one time when Ace just kind of had his Colossi running around there being attacked by the Corruptors. But, you know, for the most part here, we've seen some great micromanagement. And it's actually the Protoss is pulling back, throwing down some force fields, trying to funnel in some of those Zerg units who are giving pursuit. So this is pretty much what it comes down to right here for the moment. We do have an army comparison of 158 to 114. You'll notice that Moon is being very defensive with this army, very reserved. He does not want to engage the Protoss force. He knows that he is going to be very difficult for him to reproduce this army, especially since he's still effectively running, I'd say, about 1.5 bases right now. Most of those drones have been transferred off, working right here. A lot of them have already been killed. The Protoss player, Ace, meanwhile, he's just kind of going along, doing his own thing, making sure there's no other bases. He's got one Stalker over here, just check the western part of the map, and now he's going to try to engage the base. Oh, maybe. So very close. Just took out that one Overlord and is now pulling back, waiting probably for additional reinforcements. Just to make sure you don't want to blow it. Oh, man, a lot of tension here. Ace is going to be going in. Here comes the army. Oh, is this going to be the engagement, folks? Zerg looks to defend his base, got the Roaches in front, good positioning there. No, he is actually pulling them back. Protoss just kind of hanging out here. Oh, man. See the army size comparison now, 172 to 136. You can see a good bit of that is still probes, 57 to 35, and a Dark Shrine coming as well. Could this be the end, folks? We have to have force fields going down. Great blink right there, catching a lot of those Corruptors and taking out a large number of the Roaches. Look at that, all the Roaches have now been destroyed. All that is left are Hydras compared to the army that the Protoss has with the Colossi and the Blink Stalkers. I really don't see a way for the Zerg to come back from this man. He just does not have the income, the production capabilities, and there's the GG! Oh, wow, congratulations to Ace scoring that $13,000 grand prize, man. I'll tell you what, Moon is still going to be pulling away with a very healthy second place, $6,500. Great amount of money for both these guys. I'm sure they both deserve it, man. Good game here, back and forth action for all 5 games. So that is going to conclude this series. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you check out the next Intel Extreme Masters Season 6 tournament. There's actually a bunch of different games played at those things. So even if you're not a huge fan of StarCraft, but you happen to be watching this one, go check it out because they definitely play other games as well. So that is it. If you guys liked it, you should definitely subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a ton, probably more than you would think. So just click that link up there on the top where it says Ahnaris StarCraft. And yes, I'm actually, when I said that, I realized I'm holding a finger up and pointing at my ceiling right now because I am just a cool kid like that. So that's it. I'm out.